Hello, everybody. My name is Aaron Knoll, and welcome back once again to another edition of the Movie Battleground. We are here for another matchup, and over the last couple of weeks, if you guys have seen, we've had a lot of those tournament matchups. We've had the best of the best in the league going toe for toe, hitting each other one by one. But I am somebody who believes wholeheartedly in the philosophy of everyone deserves a chance, and even if we have a tournament going on, I'm going to give opportunities to those who aren't in it to try and play, and that's exactly what we have tonight, as we have Kevin Moreno, one of the competitors who's been with us since the relaunch of this league. He made his debating debut back when he first relaunched it, and he's had a couple of solid performances, but things just have not gone the way that he would have wanted them to, and he will be taking on Richie Goodacre, who's a bit newer to the league, but he's still yet to find his first win, so he will be looking to try and walk out with that tonight, as one of these two competitors looks to prop themselves up just a bit more in the league. With that said, though, let's go ahead and talk to them first, because introducing the first opponent tonight with a record of 1 win, 4 defeats, he is Kevin Moreno. Kevin, welcome back, sir. How are you doing, and how's it going tonight?
Doing fine, and today's going well. Bit of relaxation and enjoy the nice, relaxing fall feel over here, and I can't wait to continue my losing streak. End the losing streak.
There you go. Well, hey, so obviously, as we said, thankfully, you have to have one of the best spirits I've seen, because you've put in some great performances, and just things have not turned your way in a lot of these. But you broke a streak last time. You were not knocked out in the last match. Can we push that one more and get that win tonight?
Probably.
All right, there we go, sir. That is the confidence bar, just a little bit more every time. That's what we're looking for, right?
Yes.
All right, you got that thing is still called a narwhal, right?
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady. All right, man. Well, I will sit you in the back for the moment as I bring in your opponent. Coming in with a record of no wins, 2 defeats, he is Richie Goodacre. Richie, welcome back, sir. How are you feeling tonight coming into this?
I feel good. Look, I'm confident with some of the answers the answers I've provided. We'll see if I can argue them effectively. But yeah, it's like I do like this format. So hopefully I can get on around here. I'm always Kevin's a good guy. We'll see. I'm sure he'll bring it. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm always happy to verse someone who's playing from seems like the top of a bunk bed.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, it's a pleasure to have you back once again. As said, you guys both have something at stake for the win here to kind of boost your confidence and put you up a little more. So we will see how this goes as I go ahead and bring Kevin back in, and we will go ahead and get into this. Movie Battleground is a game that is a best of 5 rounds. It is a first to 3 points wins the match. Each round of debate is worth 1 point. If a competitor happens to win 3 in a row, that will be a victory by knockout. And if at the end of 4 rounds it is a 2-2 tie, that will activate the blind round. However, we won't concern ourselves with that unless we absolutely have to. In terms of the 4 questions these guys will have first, they were given their chance to prep before the match. They will get a 60-second opening, followed by a 2-minute solo expansion period, 4 minutes of open debate, and 60 seconds to close out their argument. Following that, backstage, I have 3 judges in Jake Reese, Jonathan Peck, and Alejandro Hernandez. They will join us on screen, at which point, based on what was said by the competitors in the rounds, they will make a deliberation on who has won the round. With that said, do you guys have any questions for me, or are we ready to get going?
No questions.
All right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get into this. And we are going to be starting this off by, if you watch every Movie Battleground match at least, taking a trip down memory lane, as we are doing a replay question for the first one. This is a question that you have seen before in the Battleground, again, if you watched that particular match, although I hope you did, because it's a question I had to answer. The question is, what is the best actor-director combo with at least 3 films. Now, this was a question that was previously used in the number one contenders match in which I played Jay Burns. And so because of that, the answers we gave that night of Samuel L. Jackson and Quentin Tarantino and Sean Astin and Peter Jackson are both off of the table. However, there are an infinite number of combos out there because if there's something that a director likes, it is a muse in an actor. And you guys have picked two very different ones, I will say, two very different answers in terms of the films made. But I can't argue the quality behind either of these. So I will leave that to you. With that said, though, behind the scenes, Richie, because you are higher up in the table based on win-loss differential, basically by playing less matches, it has benefited you. You were given the honor of being the favorite tonight. So you chose to go first on questions 2 and 4. So Kevin, you're up first tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pull in the timer for you, sir, and I'm going to wish you guys the best of luck on a great match. Kevin, when you're ready, the timer will start.
All right, my pick for best actor director duo is easily Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman, and I yield my time.
All right, there we go. Short and sweet. I can never argue with it. And now I get to play the game of can I find the right point? All right, there we go. 2, 3. I'm 100-something matches under my belt. I'm getting better at this, guys. All right, Richie, over to you, sir.
All right. So I went with the best acting director combo. I went with Leo and Scorsese. I think they complement each other really well. I think because of Scorsese, I think that Leo, kind of lifted his game and became the best actor working today, and I think they both push each other to be the best at their craft, and I just think it works wonders. I think without that combo, maybe we would probably see Leo kind of do your lesser movies here. I mean, not your big scale I'm gunning for an Oscar sort of movies. Sort of maybe more more in the realm of you've I don't know, your independent dramas and stuff like that. They don't get much a look in, but I think this combo is great.
And time. All right, and so I will go ahead and pull back up the banners for the people at home and the judges because I want to make a statement of something before we get going here. So we do have Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro in Kevin's corner, and as said there, they have 6 current films that are released and 1 upcoming one in Guillermo's adaptation of Pinocchio. Similar to Scorsese and DiCaprio, they have 5 films currently made with a 6th one in Killers of the Flower Moon upcoming next year. However, the reason I point that out is because, again, for the judges and anyone at home who likes to keep score and judge along, they are not required to mention each and every film, so please base it on the arguments that they present. If someone decides not to mention the fact that I don't know, Ron Perlman had a smallish role in Nightmare Alley, for example, do not hold that against the competitor. I've never seen the film. I just know he's further down the cast list, so I truly don't know what he did in it. But don't hold that against someone. Allow them to make the arguments and see who sways you. That said, though, Kevin, back over to you, sir, for 2 minutes when ready.
Why I went with Del Toro and Ron Perlman is easily because it's with this talented directing style of Del Toro. He and Ron Perlman work really well together, especially he uses Ron Perlman as a great character actor, especially by including him in small roles in his movies, in some of his movies that are way more, they make it more noticeable and put more work on him, especially when he introduced put him in his first film, Chronos, where he played a mute character, and it played his strength, and that what led him to become a feature player. And in fact, when he continued using him for Blade 2, that will and it helped it, which led him to become Hellboy, and it gave him a star playing role, and it would define Perlman as Hellboy, especially including the second film. And not only that, he also included him in some of his producing work, like his appearance as one of the death of the god of death in Place of Forgotten in his producing film, Book of Life, and along with his appearance in Pacific Rim, he really does work with Perlman very well. And I yield my time.
All right, so as the time winds down, that'll be it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you, Richie. 2 minutes when ready.
I think the part of a director's sort of role is to sort of bringing out the best performance of an actor and sort of lift the material that you're going with. And I think no better example is with Leo and Scorsese. I think that they both lift each other to a great degree. And I think that they're just they're just powerhouses. I think you couldn't see anybody else playing like the it's not just a thing where it's like, oh, you're a friend, I'm going to put you in a role. You couldn't. Leo gets to a point where you couldn't see anyone else playing this character, these characters he plays. And I just think like there's just some sort of like special connections. Like that every time Leo and Scorsese work together, put out a movie, there is going to be the critics are going to marvel at it, and that it's going to be up for like Oscar contention because the combination just works so well. Like I said in my opening, I think I think maybe we wouldn't know how good of an actor Leo is if it wasn't for that partnership with Scorsese. I think like he brings the best out of him, and I think due to Leo's performance, he brings the best out of Scorsese's films. I just think this combination is it works on every level, and I just think like I'm always excited when a new film comes out, and I'll yield the rest of the time.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into the 4-minute open discussion. As always, a friendly reminder to the competitors: be respectful of each other, give each other a chance to speak. Don't dominate the whole floor, but also know that you are trying to get your points in. It's a fine line to walk, but I'm sure you guys will figure it out. Neither of you guys are the most aggressive men I've ever met, or maybe we'll discover something today. I have no idea, but we have 4 minutes on the clock, and it will begin when the first competitor speaks.
Yeah, I just feel like Scorsese Leo dynamic, like just like it's way like far more like impactful. I think it's I think it works on every level. Whereas like it's cool like Guillermo and Perlman, it's cool that they're that they work together and that they do bring decent performances. But I don't feel like it's as memorable. The only thing I can think of is like really when it comes to mine, when I think of the Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro relationship, I think of Hellboy. I know they've worked in other films like Crotos and Nightmare Alley and stuff like that, but like I sometimes I honestly like forget like Perlman's like in that movie. So I just I think that this movie is just like the dynamic between Leo and Scorsese, it just works more. It's more obvious how it benefits both parties.
I don't know because I feel like Scorsese just more picked Leo to be a lead. I feel like with more Perlman and Del Toro, he put them in lead in some of his movies, and other movies he put them in a small role because I feel like he knows how to work with him, and plus also he and Perlman like could corporate off with team up with say with other character actors like Wesley Snipes, Blade 2, Charlie Hunnam, and Charlie Day in Pacific Rim. He knows how to work well with Perlman. Is by dynamic is because he puts him in both as a leading actor or as a supporting actor in the rest of the film. He knows how to like use them like that. I feel like again with the Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio was for with the way he's in lead roles, but I feel like some of those lead role characters he played are kind of like more based on true actual story, like The Aviator, or I think Gangs of New York, and also Wall Street. If you just pick them one time for just portray like an actor, a character from an actual event, and the only thing we ever did play a different character was, and that was not based on a true story, is The Departed.
Yeah, I guess to that end, I think it kind of helps my argument where it's like even more impressive that like Scorsese does get Leo to play these real life characters, and he knocks it out of the park, and you get to a point where you don't see that anywhere else being able to play that role, because like they just bring out the best in each other, and I would say like like maybe the reason why Leo is probably a main character and a lot of the stuff is a lot of his films is just because I think that get like I don't know one I think he is one of the best, and I think like Scorsese knows Leo so much that he knows how to you know a way to write certain characters or get he's confident that he can get a certain performance out of his actor, like like and I mentioned Departed. I wouldn't say he's like the full-on lead in that. I would say that uh, like Matt Damon or or maybe even Jack Nicholson has more screen time. But I just think I think this is more a minimal dynamic, whereas Perlman and Del Toro, I think it's like it's there, but I don't find it as of a memorable duo as I do Scorsese and Leo. Sure.
And time. All right, guys. We'll go ahead and move into the 1 minute closings. Kevin, you are back up first with Perlman and Del Toro when you are ready.
In closing, I think Perlman and Del Toro are the best actor director duo. It's the type of character, the different type of character performances we get from Ron Perlman, either being like kind of like being like Killer Kronos, a smirky vampire henchman in Blade 2, or a heroic demon character who pretty much it's detested by the human public in both Hellboy and Hellboy 2, or even a black market salesman in Pacific Rim. You see like to play these many type role because he knows how to handle direct Ron Perlman. With Leonardo DiCaprio, you get more of kind of the same type of performances with Scorsese and him.
And time. All right, and then Richie, back over to you, sir, when ready.
I would disagree that you get the same type of performances that you do with these duo. Like I think there's performances Rick Dalton. Oh, not I can't say that. Not Rick Dalton. I think the Aviator is very is remarkably different to his performance in The Departed. I think it's one thing to get like your performance out of like a director's vision, like a fictional story. It's another thing to get a performance out of someone like when you portray an actual person, and I think that's more impressive that he's able to they're able to like just they lift their game and be able to just get these great performances where like Leo is just just becomes that character. You can't see anybody else playing that character. I just think this duo benefits both parties, and I just can't wait to see what they do next. And Pearl, just more memorable than Perlman
and time. All right, guys, a very good first round from the both of you. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the back to await the results as I bring in our judges. And Jake, I'm going to shoot up to you first, sir. Who gets your vote, and what was the main selling point?
Richie got this one for me based on Leo and Marty elevating each other. You know, that movie's always going to be good. It's always going to be there for Oscar contention. Richie.
Okay, and then Peck, down to you, same thing.
I'm actually going with the opposite, actually. I'm actually giving my point to Kevin because he pointed out during the 5-minute argument that's basically what him and Del Toro not only do together, but put in the best roles. Though, even though he didn't have to be sort of the lead of his film, he was a sort of great supporting. But we asked him to become the lead, though. He asked him the sort of reasons why they did, and I didn't hear it, so a little bit more counterproductive with Richie's part with it to counter that. So I will give my point to Kevin.
Okay, and then Alejandro, the split goes to you, as concise as you can get it for me. Who gets the vote, and what was the selling point?
For me, there were a lot of pretty good points made up. This is one of those matches that proves that you don't just play your opponent, you're also playing that clock. Kevin made a lot of really good points that Del Toro did discover Perlman, and his career linearly can be traced back to Del Toro no matter what. But I ultimately went with Richie only because I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Scorsese do have a better connection. They do have more memorable moments, and they're more realistic. So that one, I'm going with Richie.
All right, judges, thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the back as we will move on to the next question in the match. And this previous weekend, DC saw its latest entry hit theaters in Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know how this works. We're not recording this the weekend it came out, so I don't know how it did. Maybe it succeeded. Maybe it horribly bombed. Maybe Pierce Brosnan's getting a career revival. Maybe Noah Centineo can escape Netflix films. I really don't know what's going to happen with this movie. But I do know as of today that it's 2 hours and 4 minutes. So that is a fact that I can tell you. It is 2 hours and 4 minutes. Another fact I can tell you is that Dwayne Johnson has been hyping this thing up for years, and specifically has talked about what it meant to him to be able to bring this character to life with his performance, seemingly wanting to almost proclaim that this is one of his best performances. And as a man who is, well, not known for his performances, what is his best performance? What is the best performance by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a film? All right, with that said, Richie, you are up first this time, sir, so I will give you the timer back, and it will start when you begin speaking.
When I think of like best Dwayne Johnson performances, I think like maybe that like a performance that can stand out, that's not like just sort of forgotten amongst those sort of action set pieces. Ultimately, I went with Gridiron Gang. I think this movie is quite underrated, but I think his performance is quite remarkable. But I'll get into why in my second round. So I'll yield the rest of my time.
All right, go ahead and bring us back up. Come on, here we go. Hey, there we go. All right, Kevin, time starts when you begin speaking on your opening.
All right, my pick for the best Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson performance is the 2010 movie Faster, and I yield my time.
All right, there we go. So we have Dwayne Johnson in Gridiron Gang versus Dwayne Johnson in Faster. You're telling me Fast and Furious isn't the pinnacle of his acting career? Because it is the pinnacle of Vin Diesel's acting career. Let's just be real here.
Yeah.
With the Iron Giant.
Yeah, and his cameo in Private Ryan. With that said, we're going to go back over to you, Richie. You got 2 minutes when ready.
Yeah. The reason I think like Gridiron Gang is so like remarkable in a sense is that like it came out in 2006 if I'm not mistaken. So The Rock had only really he left wrestling around like 2002. So he hadn't really done a lot of films, and like prior to that, like I mean, like he was sort of doing like he was in these. Yeah, it didn't know. You didn't know where his career was going to go because it was a bit hit and miss there, and like he was doing films that didn't really. It didn't really call for like a big acting performance. He can just be the bulky guy in the hero in an action film, akin to like maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger type of thing. So you don't really care about the acting performance really. But yeah, like Gridiron Gang, like it demands more from you. It's a sort of more like a like sort of Coach Boone-esque sort of role. Like remember times, and I just think I think like the only reason this is underrated is because people weren't kind of like like that they. Yeah, I think they kind of slept on it. They were just like, well, yeah, they're not gonna. Oh, it's the Rock's gonna do a dramatic turn. I don't. That's gonna be terrible. I'm not gonna see that. But like, I would implore people to go check it out. I think the Rock does a fantastic performance, and he plays off. He's a just great inspirational character, and you get the emotion, and it makes you realize, oh man, this guy isn't just like this, kind of archetype of an action star. He can do more dramatic roles, and yeah, I wish that he would dip his toe into that realm more, because I think he has shown that especially so early on in his career when you don't think he's going to be a good actor, and he knocks out of the park in this movie. So yeah, Gridiron Gang is awesome. I'll check it out.
And time. All right, Kevin, back over to you for 2 minutes.
The reason why I picked the movie Faster as the best performance is because this is the Dwayne Johnson in in a role that we have not really seen him play in a while now, and that's a full serious role of like where a man is seeking revenge, like for the death of his brother, and him fully serious, like he did full you barely see him make a smart remark from his past, like his other roles. He is serious, and like you do not want to cross him. It's like he does this amazing job, like especially in one scene where one of the people he asked for revenge is now a born again priest, and he knows like please read it, like he forgives himself. He still the priest forgives them, but you see him in his facial expression of how serious he is about this. Like, while yes, it is a bit of an action film still, but it's not like his usual film of explosions, or and when there is one car chase, but he knows it, and he does it serious well. And I yield my time.
All right, so we're going to be going into the 4-minute open discussion. With that said, the timer will start back up again when the first competitor speaks.
The problem with Faster is I think that like he does so many like action films that they kind of blend into one another. They're very like I can't distinguish one from the other, which is unfortunate because I mean I'll agree with you that I think The Rock does put on a great performance, but it's sort of like it's lost within these action set pieces, the big action films, and I feel like and it's got to a point where I don't think you watch a movie for The Rock's performance, you watch it for the action thing. So the action set pieces. So I feel like people kind of ignored how good he was in that. And within Gridiron Gang, it's like it asks more from you. It asks more from the actor. It's just it's a full on dramatic performance, and he's got to capture that emotion. And I feel like given how like little acting experience he had at the time, I think he did a really great job. At Faster, he does a good job, but like I think ultimately it's underrated because it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle with his other films. Like I'm like when you said Faster, I had to think for a second. I'm like no, yeah, like Snitch, that's kind of similar. I'm like no, Faster, yeah, I know the one, I believe both of them. So yeah, I just think that this film, like I think a better performance because it sort of asks more from the actor.
But I don't know. I feel like Goodacre, it's one of those. I would say it's one of those sports film. In fact, I think it's one of those kind of generic motivational films that are pretty much like, okay, he's a coach of coaching a football team of a teenage prison system. Okay, and pretty much like all these people are in trouble, and based off the true story, I probably remember, but it's the same style. It's same kind of performance we see from, I think, if I remember, Samuel Jackson and Coach Carter and those other sports movies where they're down, like these are underdogs, but with this motivation from this one specific coach, he will get them to become a well-established sports team. And I'm like, yeah, of course, like Rock plays action films, but
I would say I'm not arguing that it's not cliche. Sure, it's cliche. And like like the question is like the best Dwayne Johnson performance. Yeah, like you compare it to is it as good as Samuel L. Jackson and Coach Carter? No. Is it as good as Coach Boone and Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans? No. But if you're comparing it, Dwayne Johnson's film, like acting throughout his entire filmography, I think and you're just judging it purely on performance. I think this stands out because again, it asks more from the actor, and I think it hits more dramatic beats.
But I would think it's not more of a memorable performance from him. In fact, I think when you picked that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember Great Iron Gang. I'm like, oh yeah, he was in there. I forgot he was in that movie because I always remember Exhibit more than The Rock, sadly.
But I just like when you talk about memorable, I don't think Fast is that memorable because it just gets bogged down with all this other action stuff, and his acting isn't the selling point. It's like, oh, you see The Rock in another action film. So I just think when we're talking about memorable, I think like as performances, I do think this is the better performance. But Gridiron Gang rules.
And time. All right, so we got 1 minute left on the clock for each of you guys. Richie, you are going to be the first one up, so you have that minute when ready.
I just think I mean, if we're talking about memorability here, I think they're both underrated. But I think I think that I have the better performance because I think Gridiron Gang is a full-on dramatic film, and I think if you look across his filmography, it's like he does a lot of action stuff, and so his performances sort of get lost. You're not looking for that kind of performance. You just think you want The Rock to go on car chases. You want The Rock to beat people up and shoot stuff. So that the performance gets lost. Whereas like this one, like your focus is purely on the performance. And we can compare it to other people in similar roles, but that's fair because it's The Rock's. We had to compare it to his other films, and I think this stands out as one of his better films that more people should check out. And I think it's great. I think he does a great performance given his little experience.
And time. All right, and then Kevin, you have the final minute of the round.
Sure, The Rock has played countless action films, been in countless action films, but I would say like more of like but he does but usually those same one notes of characters. This one he's not like a comedy character, like a guy from a big town or a military expert. No, he was pretty much just a driver, like a guy that recruited to perform a heist, and then got crossed and watched his brother get killed, but no. But no, this isn't his typical actor role. It's more serious as role he has ever done, and he did a performance and not became sub. Nah, I yield my time.
And all good there, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and put you in the back and bring the judges in for the deliberations here and keeping the train rolling. Jonathan, as concise as you can get it for me. Who gets your vote and what was the selling point?
Concises, I'm gonna go with with Kevin because he pointed out when in roles faster, he's different roles that The Rock can do. Basically, it was way different than more his action films, and he put up a sort of a good counter on Richie's for Great Iron Gang. Is more like a typical sports movie, along with a typical genre along with it. So for me, I would give my part to Kevin, and I know.
This one was pretty close, actually, because I do think both of these movies are horribly underrated. I love both of these movies pretty much equally. They're both very serious, emotional roles for The Rock. Faster is a kind of typical action movie, but a different kind of action movie. Gridiron Gang is a typical motivational sports movie, but not something that you would see The Rock doing. Like, this movie demands acting, and not just for him to be, a walking set of pecs. No offense, Jonathan. So I'm going to go with Richie on that one.
All right, and then over to you, Jake, for the tiebreaker.
I will say Richie, and I will echo Alejandro's statement.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys in the back, and we will go ahead and head on to question number 3 here. We will be moving into a year in film that I personally am quite fond of. I think it was probably one of the best years in the 2010s. We are talking about the year 2014, which, of course, if we're talking about the blockbuster side of things, I would feel like this is a year where especially Marvel once again kind of cemented themselves as at the forefront of that genre. The Winter Soldier came out that year. Guardians of the Galaxy came out that year. X-Men Days of Future Past came out that year. And Amazing Spider-Man 2 also came out that year, but we can put that to the side. And there were some great dramas that year as well that people to this day still talk about, whether it be the likes of Whiplash has hung around in the context of the conversation. A personal favorite for me was the Best Picture winner, Birdman. People also still talk about Nightcrawler for Jake Gyllenhaal's incredible performance. Lots of great films. But in a year with so many great films that have stuck around in the years since, there's bound to be some that go under the radar. So the question is, what is the most underrated film released in the year 2014? With that said, Kevin, you are back up first on this one, so I will give you the timer, and it will start when you begin speaking.
My pick for the most underrated film for the year 2014 is, of course, Ivan Reitman's final film, sadly, Draft Day, and I yield my time.
All right. Never Say Die. We'll go ahead and jump that forward. There we go. All right, Richie, you got a minute on the clock when ready.
My pick for most underrated film in 2014 is the great ensemble film, This Is Where I Leave You. And I'll get into it in the next round, so I'll also use my time.
All right. Kevin, you have an influence on people, man. Every match, people are just like, I'm going to do what he does. Fuck it. All right. Well, we're at the 2-minute mark now, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin, you are back up when you begin speaking, sir.
Why I pick Draft Day? It's easily because it's a unique kind of sports film where it talks about the sport it's in, and it talks about a subject that we kind of never really talked about, and that's the NFL draft, the moment of which sports team picked try to pick a young college player to become an NFL athlete, but never fully grasped how it worked, how it played. So I thought of a good idea of having a feature film and have, have it starred by Kevin Costner and him working with Jennifer Garner, Dennis Leary, Jay Marsden, and you see a really great performance by the late great Chadwick Boseman, and also and I'd say like performance by Frank Langella, but also it explains one of the word is the word in a series of trying to create what could be the best football team of this legacy, and it also shows like how the tensions of like trying to pick the right player, and this is really underrated because like it's kind of like not talked about much because I think people kind of let it to it'll be about the former team, and then we'll end it, and then we'll end it with say let's say like the Cleveland Browns, how the team goes on to become Super Bowl, and it's not really about it. It's about how the formation of the team worked and the senses of this for a full day and enjoy time.
Sorry about that. I was a little late on the poll there.
Yeah.
Richie, back over to you, sir, when you're ready.
I picked this where I leave you just because I think all the cast brings in this film. Like Jason Bateman, you have Tina Fey, you have Corey Stoll, Jane Fonda as the mom, and Adam Driver. I think it's fantastic, and it's just about about the sort of family that has within the family you have very different personalities you sort of got to work out, and then you kind of got to deal with, and then when a death in a death in the family happens and you're all stuck in the same room, you've sort of got to deal with those sort of those idiosyncrasies and all those differences. And I think this movie portrays it really great. It's a great like comedic performance here by almost comedic performance here by Adam Driver, who definitely is portrayed as like the black sheep of the family. Like very like not as responsible. I think it's one of the few like dramatic performances by Tina Fey, but also also having like comedic, but it's also it shows that she can be great actress, and I just think the chemistry between all the actors are really great, and I just feel like 2014 was a type year, and I think it might have just got lost in the shuffle and amongst like all these big releases. And I think it's a fantastic movie. People should check out because I think people can relate to it. I mean, I think that the whole central sort of theme for the movie is really it's like you sort of can't pick your family. You got to deal with their sort of their differences. I think that this portrays it so well, and there's the writing here is fantastic, and then the comedic moments are fantastic too. And I say more people need to check this film out. So yeah.
And time. All right, we're going to go into the 4-minute open discussion when ready.
This is where I think it's an okay movie. I don't consider it underrated, or I don't consider it overrated. I consider it perfectly rated. I think it's an okay movie, but I feel like Draft Day is kind of like kind of left in the wheelhouse. I feel like it's and say both I've Reisman's great work, and even Chadwick Boseman great work. It's both those two are kind of like not talked about as much from the career of those people. They give Ivan Reitman does a really great direction with this movie, and telling a great interesting story with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think these movies are both underrated in a sense, but like I think like I just feel like maybe Draft Day is underrated in a sense that because it's bit more inaccessible than my film. I think that like my film has relatable themes of like grief, loss, and then having to come together, and then sort of dealing with your family. Whereas Draft Day, it's like like they throw all of this, it's an interesting story, but they also throw or if you're not into sports or they do throw. There's a lot of stuff you remember. They throw a lot of like sports jargon at you. So it's like it feels like if you weren't really, I mean, it does explain it very well, but I feel like if you weren't really into sports or the process of the draft, it's not that one you're going to go out and watch. But an ensemble comedy is sort of definitely more accessible, and then you get to see like these great actors like pair off against each other, and then telling this great story. Whereas I think Draft Day got lost in the shuffle just because I think the theme of it is not as it's just not as accessible for people, and not I think it kind of
But Draft Day, I think it is perfectly accessible because it actually does it kind of explains it. In fact, shows you kind of how they operate with pretty much like Sonny Wheeler kind of like helps out by talking to the coaches of his team to follow about these certain athletes that they want to get and how works with them, and especially with certain trades involving first round picks of future drafts, and also it does talk about family and death, but in a way of legacy, because Kevin Costner plays as a legacy owner of the Cleveland Browns, and how to follow in the footsteps of his father, who passed away.
Yeah, I just think my film just a bit more just a bit more relatable, and you can get this I just feel like it's way more relatable than something like Draft Day. Yeah, it has those relatable themes, but I just think maybe mine has more of a universal concept, and I think it does stuff really well. And then you get to see great performances out of like Tina Fey and Jason Bateman, and I think it is, and Corey Stoll, and I feel it is underrated because when you talk about great performances, you don't think about this movie, and I just think I think it got lost in the shuffle of a great year. I think Draft Day is just not it's just again, it appeals to a particular market, and I feel like that market is not as large as Israeli.
And time. All right, we got 1 minute left on the round. With that said, Kevin, you are up first. When ready?
Draft Day it's pretty much an underrated film of the year 2014. It hides from great direction from great Reitman, and performances by great Chadwick Boseman, along with great lead strength from Kevin Costner, and who has great chemistry with Jennifer Carter. I feel it's really underrated. It's a film that sadly got lost in the shuffle, and especially if people might get confused with it as an actual sports film where you actually see footage of Cleveland Brown playing, but it's much more than that, and it's one of the films that I feel like should be seen again, and I yield my time.
All right, and then Richie, back over to you. You have the final minute.
No. I mean, you sort of tout the performance of Chadwick Boseman. I'm not disputing that he had a good performance, but I honestly sometimes I forget that he's in it. He doesn't have a lot of screen time compared to all these other ensemble, with Jane Fonda, with Tina Fey, with Corey Stoll, and Jason Bateman, and Driver. They all get they'll get sort of equal amount of screen time, and it can kind of and to delve their sort of different sort of personalities. And I think it's you get different performances. People that you wouldn't normally see, and you realize how good actors. You haven't really see a comedic performance out of Driver that much, and he does it really well. Tina Fey, I think, absolutely kills it as sister. I think Jason Bateman is one of his better performances. But yeah, I just think the performances in here stand out more than Draft Day. But yeah, I just think it's a great film. People should check out, and more accessible than Draft Day.
And time. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put you in the back and bring our judges in for the deliberation. And Alejandro, I will start with you, sir. Who gets the vote, and what was the thing that sold you?
Both, again, a really, really close matchup here. They both talked about how great their casts were and why their movies were great. I do think Richie got rocked just a little bit when Kevin said that This Is Where I Leave You is a perfectly rated movie, and gave me just a little bit more about why Draft Day is great, particularly about talking about how family and legacy play into the movie. So I'm actually going with Kevin on this one.
All right, and then Jake, down to you. What's your vote?
I have Richie here. He broke down more why, like the good drama, the good comedy. You can't pick your family. He just told me more about why it's better.
Okay, and then over to you, Jonathan. Who gets the vote, and what was the selling point?
Full disclosure, not really bad, these two films, but for me, I think the best of the arguments, and I can tell along with it, I'm actually give my point to Richie, actually, because he pointed out some things, but This Is What I Leave You brings a more great, better character beats and more relatable than Draft Day ever could. And I think Richie elaborated pretty well throughout the argument, throughout the fight. So I will give my point to Richie.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and sit the judges in the back because your winner by a final score of 3-0 in a knockout victory, Richie Goodacre, pulling out a strong win. Congratulations, Richie, on that big win there. Now 1-2 with one knockout. In one victory, you have done yourself some good in the rankings there. How are you feeling coming out of this?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Kevin was Kevin was a formidable opponent. I thought he had me at the last question there. But I was confident with my picks, and I'm glad I was able to effectively argue them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to moving on with a at least a win under my belt. So I think I can only go up from here. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what's next.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, so because you were able to pull out that win, there will be at least one more opportunity on the table for you this year before it's all said and done. And in your three matches so far, you've been on the unfortunate end of things by getting knocked out in your first two matches, and now you're on the opposite side of things. So I have to ask you in this next match coming up, first off, obviously, scheduling with the limited amount of players left, the scheduling pool will be a little smaller, but just for the broader future, is there anyone who interests you in taking on, and do you look forward to ever getting to a fourth question?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'd look forward to getting fourth question. I'm not totally excited about a potential blind round in the future though. We'll see what happens. I mean, I did talk. I did talk to him earlier, and I said I wouldn't mind taking one. I'd start calling out. So I'm going. I think we've got a similar record. Maybe I'll take on if Malcolm is listening. I wouldn't mind taking him on in a match. Malcolm Lay.
That would be interesting. We will see how the future pans out, sir. But congratulations on the win, and we will see you in the near future, sir. Congratulations, future. Future is the word. There's no R. Congratulations, and we will see you as I bring in your opponent, Kevin. Man, you're so nice. I hate seeing you in this position, man, because you're such a great sport. You always have a great attitude about things. But unfortunately, we're here again. How are you feeling, man?
Fine. Like Moke, like pretty much like he had a better argument than me. That's what he did. It pretty much did. He was really good. He just was able to prove wrong on my stuff, and also the stuff that I said. He managed to yeah, he took care of those.
Yeah, man. And I mean, look, every single question had to go to the third judge, so it's not like you were just getting swept under the table. You know, every single question, the fight was in. You had the fight going. It's just sometimes things work out in the most unfortunate scenario, and I would say that is tonight. So unfortunately, because this does end in a loss, that will be your year done for the movie Battleground. At this point, anyone who does lose will not have the chance to return until next year. But that leads me to ask the question, you know, what is next for you? Do you want to come back as a competitor next year? Because my statement is the door is always open for people who want to compete. And I have to say, at this point, if it's not you, then it's Jake. I would love nothing more to see you guys just move up that table and get those wins, man. Do you want to become a judge? What's kind of your thought process going forward? Or do you want to just leave completely? Because I can respect that.
I joined it because I'm terrible judge. I'm like, I had to with somebody and to get out of it sometimes, but I'm like, and then quickly I'm like, okay, I picked up next answer. That's it. There, no I'm quick for responses. I'm like, yeah, no, like, and I got to complain about it. I'm like, yeah, I should explain more. Like, so I'm like, yeah, I do want to compete again because I do enjoy this, but yeah, I would rather go with competing than judging.
Well, I'm glad you're still in it, sir, and I do look forward to having you back next year, where we can hope maybe 2023. Let's turn things around and see how it goes. And for what it's worth, I thought you sold Draft Day quite compellingly.
Yeah, because
that movie's good, but like,
because you say I did not want to pull a sad and do it as a winner for 2014.
No problem, man. Well, thank you so much, sir. It's been a great game, and I will see you next year as we head out of here. Yeah, and I mean, Richie, of course, you know, coming back 2 knockout losses in a row is a tough thing for any competitor, especially a new competitor to take, man, because that is just that it leaves you feeling just at the bottom as much as I feel like anyone can feel. So Richie bounding back, getting a win, getting a knockout win, I'm sure that's got to have him feeling good. And yeah, man, like there is, I support everyone in this league. I want everyone to do well, but there's no one I'm supporting more right now than Kevin, because I would love nothing more than to see him take that victory. We know he can do it. He's done it before. It's just about the right opportunity. So we will see how that pans out for him next year. I, for one, will be looking forward to seeing that happen. But thank you to all of you who are here with us. We appreciate you guys. Every single week we have Movie Battleground matches going up. So tune in, check them out every weekend. Sometimes we got some on the weekdays. There's a schedule on our Facebook page at TMG Entertainment or TMG Trivia. Either or works. Go join those and check the schedule out. I want to say congratulations once again to Richie Goodacre. A thank you to Kevin Moreno for your 6 matches over the last year here in the Movie Battleground. It's been great to have you, and I look forward to having you back. Thank you to my judges, Jonathan Peck, Jake Reese, and Alejandro Hernandez. And on behalf of everyone here at the Movie Battleground, myself and my fellow producers, my name is Aaron Knoll, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.